guys, welcome back to our channel. So today's topic is call, apply and bind. So in this video we are going to learn what is call, apply, bind, why we use this and what is the difference between the three. So in our last video we saw what is bind polyfill. So if you haven't watched it guys, then please go and watch it. And now we'll continue with our video, which is call, apply and bind. So before going deep into call, apply, bind, I want to tell you guys about what is this keyword. So let's take it's very important to take a step back and first look at why this keyword exists in the first place. So this keyword always allows you to reuse functions with different contexts. So this keyword allows you to decide which object should be used when invoking a certain when invoking a certain function or a method. So now we'll see call, apply and bind. So we use bind when we want the function to be called later with a certain context. It's also very useful in events. Whereas call or apply is used whenever we want to invoke the function immediately and modify the context. So this is the main difference between call, apply and bind. So now we'll see in detail what is bind or function.prototype.bind. As you all know that bind is a function, so we will always define it inside function.prototype. So bind returns a bound function. This we saw in our last video also for bind polyfill. So it returns a bound function that when executed later will have the correct context of this. So bind can be used when the function needs to be called later in certain events. So now what is apply? What is apply and what is call? So call is also similar. The first parameter is in call method sets the this value, which is the object on which the function is invoked. So similar to call, the apply methods also sets this value, which is called upon which is the object upon which the function is invoked. So now the only difference between call, apply is the second parameter of the apply method accepts the argument to the actual function as an array. So this is the actual definition of call, apply and bind. So don't worry guys, we will see in example section, we will see each one individually in order to make you guys in order to make this topic more clear to you guys. So let's dive deep into the example section. Let's see the examples. First we will see example for bind. So I'm creating an object here, user, which will have value name and one function print. Inside print function, we will do nothing but just console the value of name, this dot name. So here we are having the object user and another object we will create, const user1. So here inside user1, I am taking another name and I want the same functionality of the print function to be used in user1 also, but I don't want to mention or write it multiple times. So how bind will help us here is it will allow us to bind the user1 function with user so that we can use the print function inside the user. So let's see how we can do that. As you already know that bind function returns us a bound. When we use a bind function, it returns us a variable bound function and we can use that bound function later. So here user.print.bind, we will bind the user to user1 like this. This is the syntax guys. So we are binding this and we are returning it inside a variable called bound function. Variable name can be anything as you wish. So let's see the console output first for the user. Yeah. So yeah, we will now see the console output for user and then we will see the output for the bound function. So here we get JS Ninja and test user. So What is the use of this bind function is it returns us with a bound function which can be used later in our context anywhere. So it can be used with events, or it can be any callbacks or events. So this is the advantage of bind function. So now we will see example for apply and bind, sorry, apply and call, and we will see the difference between the three. So let's see. Guys, let's see the example for call and apply. In the same example, we'll continue. So here inside function print, we will take the two arguments, data and data1, and we will console those values, whichever it will be passed in the argument. So now we will see how to use apply. So the syntax for apply will be same as bind, only in just one difference is the bind will return as a bound function which can be used later, but for apply, it won't return us inside any function. It will be invoked immediately. So in bind, what we do is we can just return a function, and we can use that function anywhere, whenever we want, for events and for callbacks anywhere. But for apply, it will be invoked immediately. So like here in 14th line, you can see user.print.apply. We will bind the user1 context here, and we will pass the arguments as an array. So only difference between apply and call is inside apply we will pass the argument list as an array, but inside call we won't be passing it inside any array, it will be comma separated. So here you can remember one thing, apply starts with A, so for apply we will be passing it inside array, A for array and A for apply. But for call, it will be comma separated. C for call, C for comma separated. So it will be an easy way to remember. So we will be passing it inside array. So we'll pass test1, test and test1. Yeah, whatever. So now we will see the output for this apply. So here test user, test1 and test2. So it is invoked immediately. So we are not returning any bound function here. It is invoked immediately, rather than bind, which can be used later at whatever point of time we want to use it. So now we will see call. So similar to apply, call also will be, yeah, the syntax will be same. So user.print dot call. So here we will pass bind user1, and we will pass comma separated values for the argument. So test and test1. We'll see the console result. So it gives us test and test1. So this also is same as apply only. The only difference is in apply we pass the arguments inside an array, and for call we pass it as comma separated. So this was the difference. So winding it up is bind, we can just store it inside a function, and that function we used later anywhere. While invoking that function can be invoked anywhere later in the process. But for apply and call, it will be invoked immediately, and apply will be in apply we will pass it as an array, the arguments, and for call we will pass it as comma separated. So this was all about today's class, guys. So I hope the topic call, apply, bind is clear to you guys. If you have any doubt regarding this concept, then please write it in the comment section below. I will try to clear all your doubts. So thank you for watching. If you like the video, please do like, share and subscribe. Thank you, guys.